I'm Ibn Mabunda. Let's get started. Coming up, Padenga Gold Mining contributed over $15 million in taxes to the government in 2024 as part of strong performance that also saw the company generate $193 million in foreign currency earnings. This is according to Padenga's latest sustainability report. We speak to an expert on the subject. Now, farm level prices in Zimbabwe rose by 2.2% in April, according to the latest data from Zimstat. On an annual basis, farm gate prices jumped 129% compared to April 2024, largely due to last year's drought, high fertilizer costs, and transport challenges. The Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria has announced it is $6 billion short for its current grant cycle and may be forced to cut life-saving programs in over 100 countries, with sub-Saharan Africa expected to feel the hardest impact. Now, the African Development Bank has approved $44 million in financing to support the construction of the Namacha-Bon transmission line and related infrastructure in Mozambique, a key milestone in the country's shift toward clean energy. Researchers at the University of California, with support from Microsoft, are developing an AI-driven tool that can predict food insecurity months in advance using a decade's worth of data, including satellite imagery, weather trends, cure land tenure, and basic services such as clean drinking water and sanitation. The Kenyan capital. A new bill in California has made it illegal for homeless residents to live in their encampments, further complicating the already challenging lives of the unhoused population. The company behind Baby Shark, the most watched YouTube video of all time, will go public in South Korea. Ping Phone Company submitted the paperwork to apply for an initial public offering on the small cap Kosdaq index. Right back, don't go anywhere. You from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. I'm Ibn Mabunda. Now we take a look at our stories in detail. Padenga Gold Mine $193 million in foreign currency earnings, according to its latest sustainability report. CEO James Beer said the group employed nearly 1,900 people. The report highlights a growing focus on environmental, social, and governance standards, with that $600,000 was spent to ensure resettlement at Eureka Mine met international standards, underlining the company's aim to align mine expansion with community welfare. Padenga's strong financial and social performance signals growing alignment between business success and responsible mining practices in Zimbabwe's extractive sector. Economist Blessing Nyatanga spoke on the importance of ESG reporting for investor confidence and long-term growth in Zimbabwe's mining sector.
To Padenga Gold Mining, revealing that they generated 193 million in foreign currency earnings in 2024, which actually contributed over 50 million in taxes to the government. And this is in accordance to their latest annual report. Now, it is imperative to highlight and note the importance of ESG reporting in terms of how it can help companies and how it can help boost confidence as well as growth in the Zimbabwe. It is clearly notable that the reporting will actually help companies identify and mitigate these risks. And then ESG matters. Hence, with ESG reporting in place, it helps demonstrate a commitment to social responsibility and community development.
That, of course, to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, has announced it is $6 billion short for its current grant cycle and may be forced to cut life-saving programs in over 100 countries, with sub-Saharan Africa expected to feel the hardest impact. In letters sent to recipient countries, the fund said over 200 health grants will be revised by mid-June to prioritize essential services and slow down non-critical spending. The cuts come amid what the fund describes as significant this year, a major blow for HIV programs, especially in countries like South Africa, where PEPFAR accounted for 20%, including the AIDS Foundation, Beyond Zero, and others rely heavily on Global Fund grants. Activists warn that the combined impact of these cuts could severely affect HIV prevention, treatment, and community support services. Economist Daisy Huni says governments should explore alternative funding models to sustain HIV, TB, and malaria programs.
Global Fund facing a $6 billion shortfall, it's high time Zimbabwe's health sector restructures and become more innovative in their problem-solving strategies. I believe domestic resource mobilization should be their main focus, along with public-private partnerships. Also, considering there already exists an HIV levy, strict monitoring and accountability should be applied. Then would we win off our dependency on foreign funds for our health sector.
Well, of course, that was Daisy Huni, an economist and trade expert, speaking to the Mint earlier on. And now, farm-level prices in Zimbabwe rose by 2.2% in April, according to the latest data from Zimstat. The Producer Price Index for Agriculture, which tracks what farmers earn at the first point of sale, moderated from a 3.5% increase in March, signaling a slower month-on-month rise, but price pressures remain high. On an annual basis, farm gate prices jumped 129% compared to April 2024, largely due to last year's drought, high fertilizer costs, and transport challenges. Zimstat says the crop and livestock subsectors remain key drivers of price increases. In contrast, prices measured in US dollars dipped slightly, down 0.6% in April, with fishing and aquaculture driving the decline. However, on an annual basis, the dollar-based index still posed a 10% gain. The figures show a widening gap between local and US dollar price trends, reflecting exchange rate volatility and shifting export competitiveness. Analysts say these numbers are more than just data. They are a barometer of inflation, food pricing trends, and farmers' ability to plan ahead in a tough economic climate. Now, time for us to take a breather after the break. AI tool aims to predict hunger before it hit in Kenya's drought zones. Now, the Mint of right back. Don't go anywhere.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it. And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
You're watching The Mint as we come to you live from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. I'm Eben Mabunda. Now, Esther Mulu, aged 69, supports her 7 children and 25 grandchildren on a small farm in Kitui County, Kenya, one of 6 counties facing recurring droughts and shortened rainy seasons. With no other income and dwindling food aid, her family now survives on a single daily meal, often just porridge. If you can invent a technology to end hunger, I will be grateful, said Molu in an earlier conversation. That's exactly what researchers at the University of California, with support from Microsoft, are working on. They are developing an AI-driven tool that can predict food insecurity months in advance using a decade's worth of data, including satellite imagery, weather trends, and clinical health records. The tool, tested since early 2023 in drought-prone regions, helps focus malnutrition cases 3 to 6 months ahead. Ref Samuel Mburu says the early warning systems allow countries to better allocate resources, especially for children under the age of 5. The main challenge: cost. While Microsoft sponsorship helped launch the pilot, scaling cloud-based AI solutions remain expensive. Still, Amref is optimistic. With predictive power, local health officials can act earlier, mobilizing food packs and medical aid. $3.6 million in financing to support the construction of the Namacha bone transmission line and related infrastructure in Mozambique, a key milestone in the country's shift toward clean energy. The project will transmit up to 332 gigawatts of renewable wind energy from the upcoming 120 megawatt Namacha wind farm in southwest Mozambique to homes and businesses nationwide and into the broader southern African region. Funding includes $33 million from the African Development Fund and $10 million from the bank's Climate Action Window, a mechanism aiding 37 low-income African nations in climate-resilient development. The Mozambican government will also contribute. This is a major step in Mozambique's low-carbon transition, said Kevin Kariuki, AFDB Vice President for Power, Energy, Climate and Green Growth. It will expand affordable power, spur local industry, and improve lives. Electricidad de Mozambique and Central Electrica da Namacha will implement the project, which includes 2 new 43-kilometer 66 kV transmission lines, along with essential green upgrades. Now, the urgency to tackle the escalating global housing crisis took center stage as the resumed second session of the United Nations Habitat Assembly went on Thursday and Friday in Nairobi, the Kenyan capital. More than 1,000 delegates, including ministers, city mayors, diplomats, and representatives of industry, multilateral agencies, civil society, and academia attended the 2-day meeting. Nearly 3 billion people globally lack access to adequate housing, secure land tenure, and basic services such as clean drinking water and sanitation, according to Ana Claudia Rosbach, Executive Director of UN Habitat. She stressed that addressing the housing crisis is crucial to advancing global sustainable development. Rosbach noted that over $1.1 billion live in informal settlements worldwide, while more than 300 million are homeless. The crisis is particularly acute in rapidly urbanizing regions such as Africa and the Asia Pacific. As cities in these areas expand, housing development and infrastructure are struggling to keep up, leading to a sharp rise in informal and inadequate living conditions. In Africa, 62% of urban dwellings are informal, while in the Asia Pacific region, over 500 million people lack access to basic water services and more than 1 billion live without adequate sanitation, she said. The UN Habitat Assembly, which serves as the highest global decision body on sustainable urbanization and human settlements, brings together all 193 UN member states and key stakeholders or every 4 4 years. Time to take a breather. The Mint will be right back with more. Don't go anywhere.
Pardon?
Look up.
Whoa!
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Ollie J, your host and captain for this technological voyage.
They say that curiosity killed the cat. Well, we say curiosity makes you swipe.
Okay, there's a real big one. Oh, okay.
Okay, stay in the elevator.
Okay,
Where are they
that
going?
one
Look
came
up,
out of
Look
the-
up.
From some tech-tastic adventures to some out-of-this-world Zimbabwean inventions to the scientifically mind-boggling, we show it all.
What we're looking at is 2 charging ports to charge the vehicle.
And things get electric. Catch Swipe right here on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J.
Put your seatbelt on.
Harare. Tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Learning has gone up, and away on the ZTN Prime Kids Block as we blast off into the world of science, language, mathematics, and many more.
There's a living dinosaur in the woods.
Get the crew together. Let's have an after-school homework party.
Friends would think so too. Definitely. It would be nice if everyone could enjoy them. Aliens.
Unicorns.
I wonder what the unicorns would wear.
Remember, learning is fun when you're tuned into ZTN Prime.
Boy Robo to the rescue!
The ZTN Prime Kids Block. Catch it Monday to Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. on DSTV channel 294. Get the picture? You're watching The Mint as we come to you live from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. I'm Eben Mabunda. Now, a new bill in California has made it illegal for homeless residents to live in their encampments, further complicating the already challenging lives of the unhoused population. Earlier in May, California's Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order to eradicate homeless encampments while encouraging hundreds of local governments to ban tent camps on sidewalks, bike paths, parklands and other types of public property. The move comes after a series of controversial audit reports that revealed failures by state and local governments to collect data on billions of dollars allocated for homeless services. The act, however, has banned and sheltered local people from sleeping outside when they have nowhere else to go. John Coy, a veteran selling jewelry on the beach, said it is now illegal and you could be arrested.
It's illegal and you could be arrested. The police will come and ask you to pick up your property, and immediately leave, or you will be arrested. I'm not sure what the law is, but it's a law that statewide any encampment is illegal. So there's no more tents, there's no more setting up tents.
Now, Newsom also announced the release of $3.3 billion in grant funding for communities to expand behavioral health, housing, and treatment options for seriously ill and homeless people, adding up to the already spent $24 billion, even less
Workers filling out paperwork, talking to people, getting them to mental health, housing, food, getting them whatever they need. I don't see that here. If there's $1 billion set out to that,
has been enabled by a U.S. Supreme Court decision in 2024 that allows stricter anti-camping laws, even in the absence of misspent. The most vulnerable will continue to be impacted by the lack of affordable housing and stricter regulation. Of course, on a listing facility in Korea, though Ping Fong declined to comment on the size of the deal, Korea Economic Daily reported the company may fetch a valuation of about $700 billion. That's, of course, the most watched video with 16 billion views. The Korean jingle is more than 7 billion views ahead of Louis Fonse's Despacito on YouTube, as kids worldwide keep watching the video endlessly nearly a decade after it was released. Still, Ping Fong has struggled to replicate the success of that hit, with songs like Penguin Dance garnering a more modest 124 million views. Ping Fong co-founder Kim Min-seok owns more than 18% of the company, while Samsung Publishing Company holds almost 17%. Shares of Samsung Publishing dropped 8.1% on Friday, extending losses for that second session. Now, I beg your pardon for an earlier indication that it's not 700 billion US dollars, but 700 billion won, the equivalent of 507 million US dollars. From entertainment to, of course, making and generating wealth for the viewers. Of course, this is one of the most watched videos on YouTube. In fact, the most watched video on YouTube. And of course, investors will be looking to bang for buck on that particular stock and generating value going forward. Well, of course, we look forward to giving you the latest just in terms of what this means for investors in this particular company, and of course on this initial public offering. We look forward to of course giving you the latest details and what this will mean for the investing public. Well, that's a wrap on The Mint today. Do follow us on our social media handles as InPapers TV Network, as well as at ZTN Prime. Your views and your thoughts are important to us. Remember to catch us every weekday at 2 p.m. Central African Time for the juiciest business stories in Zimbabwe, on the continent, as well as beyond. I'm Iben Mabunda, the Money Man. Let them do what they do. When we do what we do, we mean business. Thank you for watching and have a good day.